Hello, you're welcome to the Academic Excellence webinar series. And today we're going to be talking about how to prepare for an exam, even if you have little time or even if you have limited time. My name is Dr. Oluwaseun Oyesanya Ajuku, and I'll be taking you on this beautiful ride of something I have experienced myself, tips I've recommended to other students, and they've always used it and come out with flying colors. So let's dive in. Failing to prepare actually is preparing to fail. I'm sure you must have heard that saying from time to time. But even a little preparation can go a very long way in achieving success on an exam. It doesn't matter how much time, preparation is very important. Sometimes people feel I don't have much time, and as a result, they do not even get to prepare. And because of that, they do not get any results. So let's dive in. Number one is you should do what? You should relax. Let go of the anxiety. Now, when I say should, I know it's you can be very tempted to be anxious, to want to be all over the place because the time for your exam is limited. But the truth is this, you won't get anything done when you're anxious. When you're anxious and tensed, you keep making mistakes, you can't sleep well, and you still won't do the work. Now, I'll tell you my own story. Um, in my third year was one of the busiest year in my own set. And we woke up in the morning, our lectures start by 8 a.m. So you'd have woken up earlier and I should have been in class by 8 a.m. And for some reasons, the semester was so tight. We had a lot of things doing and we had little time. So sometimes we stay till 7 p.m. still, you know, getting our lectures. When I come back, I'm so fagged out and exhausted. Most times I'll set an alarm for myself that I'll wake up to read. And by the time I sleep, the next thing I see is that I wake up when it's daybreak. I don't even know whether my alarm went off or it went off and I offed it or I didn't set it well. It happened day in, day out till the semester was almost over and the exam timetable was out. By the time the exam timetable was out, our lecturers had wrapped up on their revisions and courses that they didn't and subjects that they didn't take, they told us to go and read it. So I had 1 week to prepare for exam. Incidentally, because I was the treasurer of one of the associations, SPE, Society of Petroleum Engineers, as a student, they were having a conference at the time, and so I was nominated as one of those that will go for that conference. So imagine that I have not read since my books. In fact, my texts were one of the among the years. That third year, my texts were really looking so clean. Why? Because I didn't even have time to really go through them. My notes, did I even read them? In fact, that semester was almost like a chaos for me. But then I realized that I needed to come out with very good results. I had a target, I had a CGPA I was targeting, and I knew that I couldn't just afford not to come out well. True, I have to be sincere with you. I was also very anxious, really, really anxious. And because I was so anxious that I was talking in my sleep, I'm not somebody that talk in my sleep. Now, you know why I'm giving you all this elaboration? Just in case it's something you're relating to, maybe it's something, but when I'll be giving you the tips, you're wondering, how can I do this? So when I'm telling you to relax, I understand what I'm saying. I was so tense that I do not even have good sleep. The few times I sleep, I do not even have good sleep. Then I went home because my school also is in the same town where I my parents lived. So I went home for the weekend hoping that let me I'll get myself. I was so cranky, I kept sighing and hissing at every given time. At the point that my dad even noticed, I was like, what is your problem? I said, I have not read throughout the semester. We have 4 unit courses, 3 unit courses, and I don't know. I have only 1 week to prepare. So I also had to travel, like I already said, for some conference. So I was like, should I cancel the conference? Should I go for it? Now, the 1 week I'm talking about is 1 week from after I come back from the conference. So that's what I was like. The conference was 5 days. So I was like, if I stayed back, maybe I'd have 2 weeks. So, but I realized I really didn't have 2 weeks because that was when the lecturers were wrapping up. So imagine I want to travel for a conference. I was going to miss some part the concluding lectures and some revisions, and I say I don't have enough time for exams. So it is in the midst of this kind of situation that I found myself. But then When I eventually calmed down, that's what I had to do because I realized I was doing nothing. I told myself, take a deep breath and calm down. Go for this conference like there is no exam and just enjoy yourself and come back and face the reality. That's what I told myself. So that was kind of a way I told myself to relax because I wasn't getting anything done and I was getting worse. I was almost like feeling sickly in my body. So what's the use? After letting go of my anxiety, one thing is this now. I decided to have a personal timetable. And at the same time, I'm going to be telling you a personal study timetable for the exams is different from the one you've been using from the semester. For the exams, based on your timetable, you now want to come up with a personal timetable. Some courses it will be earlier in the timetable and some courses will be later. That's an exam timetable. So you also want a study timetable that is personal to you that will give you enough time to prepare for those courses. So in when you have that timetable, that means let's say you want to study three courses in a day. I say, okay, I'll do, let me use GL, you want to GLJ 312. I will study that from 9 to 12. Assuming that you now have the time to go and read for exam. The other one, I want to study from 12:30 to this time, maybe 2 hours, for example. Now put a time frame to it. Tell yourself, I'm reading Geology 312 from 9 to 11 o'clock. That's an example. Be very specific. And if it's 1 hour you want to read, fine. Just be specific and then make sure you go to read. Now, you create a study schedule that will cover all the courses you're taking for that semester. And guess what? You should stick to it. That's why I said write it down, write out that timetable, put time to it. And every day make sure that you look at it again, that this is what I'm going to study, and you stick to it. Now, you should also take enough breaks. I'm going to be teaching you that in the next. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to take breaks. Now, when you're preparing for an exam, especially when there's not much time, you have to make out time for deep study without distractions. You see, distractions, if you get distracted one bit, by the time, even if for 2 minutes, by the time you say you want to come back to reading, you realize that um for you to now concentrate back, it might take another 5 minutes. So that's already time wasted. So you want to make sure that you are keep bringing out time, minimum of 2 hours for deep study. Now, for those who do not like to read for a long time, even if you like reading for a long time, I'm going to be giving you a method in which you will use so that you can study for long without getting bored or without getting stressed. But another thing you want to know is while you are studying, whatever method of studying you're using, make sure you are writing. Just go and buy, and that's what I did. Go and buy a fresh journal, a fresh notebook that you use for your reading preparation of exam. So if you have your 312 on your personal timetable, while you are reading, sometimes there are some key points you note. Write it down. Don't note it in your brain. Write it down. It's a form of memory recall. Write it down. When you read and you see something that is striking, write it down. Then when you are done with that 1 hour, or whether it's 1 hour, depending on whether it's 1 hour for a particular course or 30 minutes or 2 hours, whatever number of hours, but don't give yourself number of hours that is too long that you can't do other things. When you finish reading, write down what you can recall. Just remember, I just read this particular topic. Maybe you read something on environmental impact assessment. So what can you remember now? Just immediately before you go to the next course on your timetable, what can I remember? Just let it flow. Write it down. See, this method has a way of making what you have read stick. So just now you have finished reading, you sit down and say, okay, I'm done with this particular course for today or for this moment. What can I remember from all I read? Write it down, just let it flow. That's why I told you get a new notebook for preparing for exam. Now, if you're studying for calculations, maybe courses where you have calculations, let me tell you, while reading and you see examples, yes, you might see some questions like, I know this now, I should use this formula. Make sure you calculate it. One thing about calculations is that there are common mistakes one can make. And sometimes, if you have multiple choice questions, you can solve the wrong thing and you still see the answer there. And everybody who has studied calculations exams without having to definitely solve from beginning to end always have lower than the results they expect. I myself have found myself in such a situation, and then I learned my lesson the hard way and made sure that when I'm studying for a calculation course, I solve. Even if I think I know it, even if it's an example, even if maybe it's an exercise or maybe a past question, I solve it out. So even when you look at an example that they have already solved, like a solved example, take your pen and solve it. Like, see the question and try solving it till the end and see if you don't make any mistakes and you get the same answer that you're supposed to get. Now, while studying, remember we're still talking about study strategies. I said for you that do not like to read for long, or if you have to read for long, there's a way to read that you wouldn't get bored and you won't get stressed, and that is the Pomodoro techniques. What does the Pomodoro technique entail? It entails you to study for 25 minutes and take a break of 5 minutes. So you study for 25 minutes and then you take a break of 5 minutes. What does that mean? If you want to study for 2 hours, for example, that means you have 4 sessions of 25 minutes and 4 sessions of 5 minutes break. Why this 25 minutes? 25 minutes is long enough for you to have studied something reasonable, to have done reasonable quantity of work, but it's also short enough not to get you bored or stressed. Now you take a 5 minutes break. Now 5 minutes break is not for you to go and go and play. It's just for you to stretch yourself, drink water, maybe take a little snack, whatever it is. You know, just a little break. And by the time you take that 5 minutes break and you come back to sit down, you'll see that you have a longer number of hours. I mean, you have renewed strength to go for longer hours. So you come again another 25 minutes. I advise you to use your alarm clock, your alarm on your phone or on your just get an alarm, so that you don't go beyond 5 minutes break. When you start reading, you set your 25 minutes break, 25 minutes alarm. Then for that 25, you set 5 minutes for your break. Made after 5 minutes break, go back and sit down. Now, if you have done this 4 times, that means you have covered 2 hours and you still want to keep going, go for a 10 to 15 minutes break. This time now you can take a stroll, but put on your alarm so you don't forget. Chew a gum. I know that sounds funny. Now, I'm not someone who chew gum normally, but when preparing for exams, I actually stumbled on this accidentally. When you chew gum, it has a way of, I think because of the blood flow, it helps the blood flow towards the brain, and so it helps assimilation to be higher. Incidentally, that I now stumbled on this research, a scientific research that said when you chew gum while studying and chew the same gum during exam time, you tend to recall much more. Anyway, I haven't tried chewing gum during the exams, but I have tried chewing while I'm studying. If I chew to a point, I can drop it, then continue like that. But I noticed that the chewing gum helps blood to flow. That isn't compulsory. If it works for you, fine. If not, some people chewing gum is even becomes a distraction. So if that's a distraction from you, please strike that out of the list for you. Now, after reading, practice with past questions. Now, I told you should have a personal study. If you have a personal what's that, a personal study timetable or a schedule, you should now, after you have read to a reasonable point, try and solve with past questions. If you have questions, past questions, if there are no past questions that you have access to, there are textbooks that have exercises under those topics. Try practicing with them. That makes you know if what you are reading, if your reading can recall what you have read so far. Now you can also engage in group study where a couple of people come together, each person read the topic and then shares idea. Now the truth is this, some people use study group. That's been my experience anyway. So I didn't always, well, I used to join study groups, but that third year I refused to join study groups because people in my class then used study group as a way of coming to relax and just come and make noise. So I realized that while we were hoping that we can use the study group to catch up with what we are missing, many of them would just waste time. Everybody be arguing over what shouldn't be argued about. So I stopped joining. But if you can organize a group study where everybody has a topic that they pick and then you discuss it together or you solve questions together so that if you have something you don't understand, you can now ask the next person. So that's that on study strategies. Now, one thing that is a problem when studying is distractions. I told you should have deep study without distractions. So I'll quickly give you a tip on how to avoid being distracted. One, put off your phone or turn off the notifications. You won't believe the distractions that comes from phone, especially social media. When there's a notification pops up, you will survive without phone, I can tell you. But if you do not want to put off your phone totally, you should do what? Put off the notification and take the phone a little far away from you. Two, write down things or put it on flight mode. Yeah, that's another thing because some of you want to use your phone as an alarm clock for yourself. So put it on flight mode where no notifications will come in. You won't know whether you received somebody just liked your comments or not. Write down things you want to say or do later. Now, I and my friend used to go and read in the library. And because we are friends, sometimes we'll just see something funny. Maybe the librarian may have done something, or while we're just reading, we remembered one gist, and now tap her and talk. We realized that that was distracting us and taking out of the time we should use to read. So this is what we decided. We had the paper beside us. So immediately I remember something that is funny, I write it down for when we would go on our break. When I remember something I need to tell her or something I want to do later, I write it down. So you see, the fact that you've written it down will not make it become a distraction to you, because you know that when you are done and you have time and you have your break, you can look at it and get those things done. Another thing or way to deal with distraction is read in an environment void of distractions. Now I know some people do not like quiet places, that they like to read and see people around them. Then read along with people who are also reading, so they are not distracting you. You understand? If you like to read, seeing people around you, some people are like that. I am not like that. I love to read on my own. So, or but if you like that to just see people around you, fine. Read with people that are also reading, not in a noisy place. Read in an environment that is void of distractions. The library can give you that. And then schedule break and fun time and other activities. What do I mean by that? In creating your schedule for the day, when you have a schedule for the day, what do you ask yourself? You say, okay, I want to be able to read from this time. Maybe you want to chunk your reading together, and then I need to go for lunch by 12 to 1, and then I need to go to maybe your fellowship, or you have any extracurricular activity, maybe like basketball or any other thing by 4 to 5. Schedule everything on your daily schedule. So since you scheduled all those things, it won't just be jumping on you like, hey, I'm supposed to go for this now. No, you already have it scheduled. So that won't be those are internal distractions now. So distraction can be either external or internal. So I've showed you how to handle both internal and external distraction. Now that you have studied for your exam, what are you supposed to do a night or a day before exams? Now, this is what you should do. Revise. Just revise. That means scan through your notes. You can scan through your major notes or even those ones you have written down while you were reading. Those are things you should now revise. You will realize that it is easier. You see that it's something that took you hours to read, in a matter of minutes you can read. And why? Because you have followed all those memory recall processes I taught you, and then you just see yourself flowing. Eat well. Now, while you're preparing for exams, whether it's a day before or not, eat. When you eat, you have the stamina, you have the strength to read well. Also rest. I'm telling you, rest during exam. Not say because the time is too short you won't sleep. Sleep at the right time. Give yourself some hours sleep. You know why? When your brain is refreshed, what you can read in 30 minutes, what you read for 2 hours when you don't rest. So sometimes people are so anxious, you not rest, you now go and read. You read for how many hours now? For 2 hours. But you realize that if you had slept for 1.5 hour, for example, in 30 minutes, that same thing you read for 2 hours and you're still struggling to remember, you study it in 30 minutes and you remember very clearly. Take this from someone who has gone through. I have a PhD now, so I've gone through academics from as an undergraduate, as a postgraduate, and I have also seen people who struggled. See, these methods I'm giving you now are methods that I give to people that failed courses before, and when I gave it to them, they used it, they came out in flying colors. So if you would implement, you get your flying colors. That a night before, a day before, I mean to say, take a break and unwind. You've been reading, see, watch a movie, read a novel. What I did then, I usually read a novel even if not the night before, say while the exam, when I've read for hours, like 2 hours to stretch, 3 hours. So those my break. Of course, I set my alarm to make sure I don't go beyond. Is to read a novel. Why? Because novels are they kind of cheer me up. I read kind of the kind of novels I like. So I read within that time. My brain, it's a total different thing from the academic work. So your brain kind of receives like this fresh air, and then it can recall things easily because it's not weighed down. When you another thing you can do also is you can watch a movie if you're a movie person, but also be careful and watch out for time. But you can also listen to music if you're a music person. I'm just a novel person. So I know people that are music people, they listen to music. It uplifts their soul, it removes the stress, just make them happy, bring that happiness hormone into your body, and it helps the brain to recall and to be well. Now, another thing you want to do is organize your bag. Many people is that day of the exam, they will start organizing, looking for their pen, looking for their math sets, looking for the rulers and everything, graph sheet. No, you're not supposed to be doing that. On a day before, organize all you need. If you need receipts that will admit you to the exam, that is when you should put everything. Have a checklist. As a matter of fact, have a checklist. Check my pen, check two pen, for example, in case one doesn't work. My pencil, my math set, check. Whatever it is you need, and put it in the bag you carry that day. Many people get ready that very day and forget some important documents or some important things that are meant for the exams. And most importantly, I want you to do what? Sleep. Oh, a night before the exam is not when you're supposed to now start racking your brain. Anything you have read up until then is okay for you. I won't say get your 8 hours, because I know that school can be very crazy. You might not be able to get up to 8 hours, but at least give yourself up to 6 hours. 6 hours sleeps a night before. I'm telling you, very, very important. 6 hours sleep a night before. Now, on the day of the exam, you should just wake up refreshed. Take your bath, make sure you're happy. Don't panic. Don't wonder how the exam be. Well, the day has come. When you get to the exam, you know how it will be. Write your exams. When you get to your exam, let me give you a tip. Sometimes when people see questions, they'll just panic and it look like I don't know anything. No, just make sure you calm down. If you don't have to calm down, take deep breath. Take deep breaths. By the time you take deep breaths and you calm down and you look at it, you will see that you know what to answer. Get yourself excited for the next paper. As soon as you're done with that exam, don't go mourning and wondering, oh, I should have written it this way. Oh, it's like I didn't write that way. You're not gonna be checking, the book. It's already passed. So you should move forward, right? Yes. You should move forward. That is what is important. Get yourself excited for the next paper and go and eat again. Don't go hungry to exam. I think I forgot to mention that. Never go hungry. So people, because they attend, see. If you didn't sleep well, if you didn't eat well, see, let me tell you, you will waste too much time on a question and you still won't answer optimally. I can tell you that for free. So please eat something, even if it's something light, and prepare for the next paper without worrying about the past paper. Worrying about the past paper will only deny you and rob you of the for you to do better in the next exam. Anything that's happened in the exam has happened. You understand? Whether you think you wrote well or not, but you always write. If you follow all of this, you would have written. Leave the if you have 70, depending on your school, 70, 80, you still have an A, right? In other words, there is allowance to even fail up to 20 or 30 questions, and you will still be considered, an A student. And again, you have even done, if you have been serious during during the semester, you already have your continuous assessment as well. But even if you are not, just get yourself excited for the next paper. Don't worry about the paper that you have done. I will hope you've already picked all you need to pick from this. I want to say thank you to you for listening, and I can assure you, if you implement this tip and begin to see yourself having best results, you would see your life will turn around. That I can tell you. I'm sure of that. I'm very, very, very sure of that. So thanks for listening. It's because you're serious about your exams, and that is why you're here. Calm down, remember, relax, have your own personal study timetable, take breaks, unwind, just have a wonderful time. If you didn't get all of this, I believe you must have had your pen and paper to jot down this point. Otherwise, you can always come back to listen to the video again. Now, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I would say subscribe, share, and like. If you want to listen to more things on academic excellence, productivity, time management, and goal setting, I want you to subscribe. If you like what you heard, I want you to share it and like it. When you like it, it gets to more people. If you share it, you're benefiting or you're helping somebody else who didn't have the opportunity to see this. You might be saving somebody's life. And I want to say cheers to your success, because I delight in seeing and making your dreams come true. I remain your coach, Dr. Oluwaseun Oyesoya Adrigo. Cheers. Ciao, ciao.